Hi, I'm James Ellis, so I promised to keep this at 10 minutes, so let's get to it. And here's the thing I think you need to know, and frankly, you probably already know. Most nursing recruiting is built for a nurse who does not exist. They are not a real ICU nurse. They are not a real new grad. They're not a real staff nurse who's been through all sorts of bad managers and staffing collapses. Most of the time, we are targeting a very, very fictional average nurse. You know, the one who's apparently inspired by the same generic language, persuaded by the same broad promises, and equally interested in the same jobs. That nurse does not exist. And yet a lot of recruiting content is still written as if she does. And in a market this competitive, if you talk to the right nurse the wrong way, well, they're going to scroll past. They won't reply. And then you're going to complain that the market is hard, which to be certain it is, but it may be more accurate to say that we're just not speaking clearly. See, the right candidate is not reading your job posting like a document. They're actually trying to scan for answers to questions like, can I trust this place? They're going to ask, is this going to fit the life I have? Am I going to get trapped? Am I going to grow? Is this a polished story or is there something real here? Your broad, generic messaging describes the role, yes, but it's not helping people make a choice. What happens is you end up sounding like everybody else. And in order to compete, your company has to increase salary and increase perks, and you have to work twice as hard. So what if we could solve this in a different way? To win in a market like this, you need two things. You need X-ray vision. You need to know exactly what your target nurses care about, what they distrust, what's going to make them take action. Second, you need a map. You need to know what to lead with, what to stop saying, what proof to add. You need real detail. Because without both, again, you sound like everybody else. And when you sound like everybody else, you get ignored. And that's when you're forced to compete on perks and salary and do twice as much work. So let's start with the language from a fairly typical nursing post. Some of these things are going to sound a little familiar, right? In fact, there's a good chance there's a lot of this language in your job posts right now. Language like supportive team and mission-driven care and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not telling you you're doing things bad. But it is language, if we're honest with ourselves, that's designed to appeal to as many nurses as possible, which means that everyone is saying this. I mean, you think you're saying something really positive and you're saying really attractive things, but the candidate's reading all this stuff through their own filter, their own exhaustion, their own ambition, their own skepticism. So the question isn't, is this description attractive? The question is, who are we trying to attract? This is far beyond, segmenting by specialty. I know you do that already. Of course you do. But even within, say, experienced ICU nurse, people with the same credentials are evaluating jobs for a lot of different reasons. One is looking for growth. One is looking for survivability. One is looking for flexibility. And that may just be a tiny slice of the larger pool. It's the same specialty. They've got the same resume. They got the same certifications, but they have very different questions and very different reasons to say yes. And when you start to see these motivations, you immediately realize how your generic nursing messaging sounds canned, and it's actively pushing people away. So what if you could, talk to each one of them and find out what they really want? Imagine for a second that you had 100 of your ideal hires locked in a basement, and you could ask them anything you wanted 24 hours a day, in a nice way, okay? This isn't some generic persona defined by demographics and averages. I mean the specific kind of person you are most looking to hire. What motivates them, what they care about, their frustrations, what they're looking to avoid, what would appeal, what messages they're going to inherently ignore or distrust. Now, I'll admit that kidnapping is illegal in every state, so we won't do that. But what if you had 100 virtual perfect hires, all locked in a room who would answer your questions? This is called a synthetic candidate panel, and they are modeled on the exact audiences that you care about. An audience that you can ask questions of to learn what matters so you can stand out and attract more effectively. The panel tells you what this audience will respond to, what they'll distrust, what's missing, and what would work better. Show them your job post, show them your career site, your outreach, and you're going to get better strategies and messaging to stand out. Let me show you how it works by unearthing what my panels told us about two specific ICU nurse types who look the same on paper, but who have very different motivations. So we're going to start with a survivability-seeking ICU nurse. That's not all nurses. That's not all ICU nurses. That's a slice that may be exactly who you want to talk to. Now, even if you knew that that's who you were talking to, your initial thought might be, survivability. They care about survivability. I should talk about support. That makes sense, right? That's what you do. So that you end up building content, talking about your supportive team, your strong leadership, your wellness resources, resilient culture, all that stuff. But that's what everyone says. And that's the fastest way to blend in. The synthetic panel, the 100 virtual people who are survivability ICU nurses, says they don't actually want to hear the word support. They don't. They want to know whether the unit absorbs pressure without eating them alive. So the message isn't going to attract them, isn't some headline about culture. It's going to be, do charge nurses carry assignments? What happens on surge nights? How often does staffing break? How long has the manager actually been there? And what happens after a brutal shift? This isn't just changing some words. This is a completely different understanding of what they need before they're going to trust you. And for these nurses, it's about understanding operational truth. Now, for the record, I don't actually understand what carry assignments or surge nights mean. I'm not a nurse. I'm not an ICU nurse. I'm not the expert. The panel is. Because the panel is built not from my knowledge, not from some recruiter's best guess, but from the domain. It actually thinks in the actual texture of the work, the language the candidates use, the actual things they're scanning for. So when the panel tells you what to say, it's not an opinion. It's your target audience speaking back to you, telling you what they really want. You're no longer guessing and hoping, you're knowing. Now, if we compare that to a flexibility-seeking ICU nurse, well, you might assume, again, talk about balance, and you talk about flexible scheduling and work-life balance and life outside of work, all that stuff. But when I talk to the panel of flexibility-seeking ICU nurses, they're not looking for emotional reassurance. They're looking for schedule mechanics. Again, not my opinion. I kind of don't know. I know nothing about their world. This is what the panel is saying. So they want to know if the schedule actually works. How does it work? What are the weekend rules? How often are requests honored? How often are they floated? How much notice are they going to get? Is flexibility real or manager dependent? This is a completely different set of messages than what most recruiters or employer branders would ever build to that target audience. Because for these nurses, the most persuasive content is not a story. It's not a testimonial. It's not a pretty video. It's a schedule explainer. And that changes what you make, not just how you word it. Again, this is not about personas. There we go. And I know that's a term you've heard. I know you've been told that that's something useful. But personas describe a very static audience and generally tell you, to be honest, what you already know. This is very different. We're asking these audiences real questions in real time. Questions about what they want to hear, what turns them off. Questions about how to build trust and how to keep them interested. We skip past all the bland and generic language and learn what to say that's going to unlock this audience. Now, even if you're hiring ICU nurses, you might not care about flexibility-focused or survivability-focused nurses, which is why we can build custom audiences for your specific needs. If you offer professional development, what do professional development nurses need to hear? If you offer access to leadership, what are you saying that's maybe turning people off? If you offer collaboration, how do you communicate that without sounding like a Hallmark card? Or we can even model your audience on motivations or your employer brand, or even what your existing staff would say. Synthetic panels mean better questions, better answers, and better hires. So in short, you're going to get 4 superpowers with a synthetic panel. 1, you get to see what your target talent actually wants, not what you think they want. 2, you're going to find out what message is missing. Those gaps are really what's killing everybody. 3, you're going to see how different audiences hear the same things in very different ways. And 4, you're going to see what to do next before you waste recruiter effort or campaign spend on the wrong message. The goal is not to be pretty. The goal is not to polish up your messaging. The goal is to stop thinking and talking to the right person the wrong way. I want to save you time, and I want to save you effort, and I want to save you money. Now, in 10 minutes, this is just the surface of what these panels can do. So I'm going to leave you with this. The generic nurse you're talking to, they don't exist. And the more you try and write to these mythical nurses, the more you are pushing great, real people away. And this isn't just about nurses. Any hard-to-fill roles, technical sales, specialized engineering, experienced clinicians, they all have the same problem. Same resumes, same look and feel, but very different design logic. And panels, the synthetic panels, show you what your audiences actually want before you waste your time and money. So I get this is a big, new, messy idea, so here's what I'm going to offer you. I have 3 panels built for ICU nurses ready to go. The survivability seeker, the growth seeker, and a flexibility seeker. Use the QR code, book some time with me, and I'm going to open them up live in front of you. We'll install them in Claude or ChatGPT, whatever you prefer, and you can ask them anything you want. You can test your job posts. You can ask them what they need to hear from your organization. Test them against your career site. Ask them what would make them ignore you. And you'll see very quickly exactly how useful synthetic panels can be. So go ahead and scan the QR code and book the time.